to KT. And so we'll just have to see how this draft is going to go, because so much about both of these games has been draft. That has been the problems that these squads have run into. Let's see who's going to have the better one this time around.
Yep. Game 3 coming in. A lot of things taken off the cards thanks to Fearless.
Yeah.
And a lot rests on this series. Gen.G the opportunity to lock in first place. And for KT, a chance to bounce back with their rough Legend Group performance, currently on that 4-loss streak, and potentially catch up with the likes of D+, avoiding going to play-ins. And, you know, they're fortunate that DNS won't be in play-ins because that team looks on fire.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone is here in the LCK like, wow, we really dodged a bullet, didn't we? As DNS look in flying form as they head towards the off-season very quickly, which is a bit of a shame. KT going to ban away Kalista. I actually love this. Ruler and Duro have been really good at just getting late into Fearless and then slamming Kalista Renata and winning games.
Yep. And we've seen the bans change up quite a bit, because this is the first game where it's Gen.G, the ones having second pick. You can see Gen.G just having to ban away the standard things like the Vi and the Cassiopeia, whereas KT allowed to go for things like the Kalista, be a bit more flexible, which means something's going to get let through. My question is, what will be prioritized as that first pick?
Well, right now, it will be Orianna. If that one isn't banned last here by Gen.G, they might have an answer for it, because Locke is still up and available. I think, okay, Lucian's going to be banned. I was actually wondering whether they'd just ban Locke instead, just to make sure that that Orianna ban is kind of forced here by Gen.G. But not going to be the case. So anything goes here with this final ban is what it feels like to me. I think that you can kind of throw the wrench into the works by leaving that Orianna up. But still a gamble, and it is a champion that BDD has been incredible on throughout his entire career, and so they will not risk it. They'll ban it away.
Yep, some of the picks have been left open since last draft. Bard, Poppy, and they will just insta-slam that Bard for effort. A lot of confidence behind that one.
Yep. And it's the best pairing with Caitlyn that's left, right? And I think Caitlyn Bard would be so incredibly strong. Gives them that hyper carry for the late game, as well as some strong power in the early laning phase. So I like that one a lot.
My question
Gen.G,
is,
what are they going to do?
If they deny Caitlyn, which it looks like they might do, what do you pair Bard with? Is it Corki Bard, which doesn't feel super inspiring?
No.
There's still the option here of Kate Lux if Gen.G want to go toward that. And they will just lock that in. Denying the Caitlyn from KT. Jin is gone, Ezreal is gone, Caitlyn is gone. What are you going to pair this Bard up with? Will it just be that Corki where you're going to be a bit behind in pressure in the 2v2?
Varus Bard. I mean, that's kind of cute.
Yeah, I think Varus Bard honestly does a pretty good job of it. Varus is something we've seen less and less of recently, but makes sense to bring it out here.
Feels a bit like food for Lux, as both of these bottom laners, you know, without talking about the magical journey, kind of stationary, or more stationary than some others.
One thing with the Bard into Caitlyn is sometimes you'll use the stasis to try and bail someone out of a tricky situation. There will be a trap afterward.
Yeah.
So, can backfire.
Gen.G basically have Caitlyn Bard and Caitlyn Lux at the same time.
Double whammy.
It is not very fair. Pantheon going to be the lock-in here for Cuzz. Definitely has been a great pick for him in the past as well. Provides some setup there as Canyon back to an old favorite, providing some frontline. And I think that the feedback after the last game was probably pretty good. Now they have a hyper carry for the late game. It's Ruler playing the Caitlyn as well, which you're going to feel very comfortable with. And they've got that frontline already represented via the jungle. So I like it from Gen.G so far. Now the bans are going to come in, and the Zoe will be taken away from BDD. That's a cute one.
Yeah, I think here, especially when it's like the Skarner is generally going to be isolated because the Lux isn't the best buddy for you to be going aggressive into the enemy team. Pays to have this really tanky pick. We did also see how the the jungle pet damage has been buffed now based on your resist, based on your health, so should help out Skarner here. Gen.G just hammering away at some of BDD's signature picks here. 3 mid lane bans already from them.
Yeah, what are they going to do as far as their mid lane pick, though? That's my question. What's Chovy going to be playing? The Akali going to be taken away from BDD. Means that some control mages will certainly feel good. It's going to be just Victor, isn't it? It's just going to be Victor.
May well be. Victor, there's Annie, there's Galio, which Chovy quite likes.
That's a good point.
There's Aurora. There's definitely options available. Just kind of depends what he wants to lean toward.
All right, one last ban here for KT.
We've seen the Rumble and Skarner be pretty potent. Kind of just hold them over the fire. So I wonder if Gen.G has thoughts about that. Typically, we expect counterpick to go to top lane, but Gen.G has shown in the past that they will have Kiin blind pick in a lot of situations. And if it is to secure something like the Rumble, maybe that is worth going first in this situation.
For me, I feel like you just lock Victor and then you let Kiin go counterpick. But instead, they are going to save that counterpick opportunity for Chovy, as the Ambessa is going to be locked in.
Does benefit from the massive Eclipse buff that we saw on this patch. So going to be doing a lot more damage when this champion was already very strong.
Volley Bear! That'd be very fun. But it's a hover for now. I will not get overly excited. And it looks like a Jax might be the option instead. Feels like a pretty standard pickup into the Ambessa. Hadn't seen it for a while, but it is what Perfect will elect to go towards. And now, what will BDD play? I think you can certainly do 1-3-1 with a composition like this. And you can also go like full AP as well. Oh my goodness. So the buff to Azir did come in. His Q does a bit more damage now.
Any excuse to whip out the Azir, and our LCK pros will want to do it.
It's BDD! Come on, man. All right, it's going to be the Ahri instead. Makes me a little bit sad, although it also doesn't, because it means that we may not be inundated with way too many Azirs. It is still a 4-letter champion name starting with A, so there you go. You got a bit of the way there. And the Ahri will be the pickup here for BDD. Does change the composition just a little bit. Turns it a lot more pick-based. And this is something you mentioned already. The Galio would be the option here. The build is going to have to change a little bit. We know that Chovy has been fairly flexible as far as the build path for the Galio is concerned. Not going towards the Abyssal Mask when there is less magic damage on the team, and instead going towards Rukkan first. We'll see whether we see that again. But a very standard draft out of Gen.G, wanting to just play that front to back in these team fights and get the Gargoyle to jump in on top. Ruler doing all that damage. Trap placement going to be pretty comfortable as well. And I think Kiin will be able to follow up with this public execution very comfortably with a draft like this based on the non-committal CC that they do have available. KT, though, a heck of a lot of pick and also a lot of mid-game power with this composition.
Yeah, a lot of burst available. Reset potential for the Ahri is pretty important. Problem is the enemy team, Gen.G's lineup, has a lot of bulk on the front line that can be hard to cut through and hard to find momentum on. Getting backline access, killing this Lux, killing this Caitlyn will really make this game easier when you get to those team fights. But I think they have a lot of tools to play around in the early stages of the game. We've seen the team with momentum, the team setting their foot forward, has led this series so far.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that can continue in this game 3.
The thing is, I feel like game 3s are often just different, right? Sometimes you have a pretty slow series, a stomp back here, stomp back there, and then things get real close, real messy when you move into the third game. I hope that that is what we're treated to here. As ladies and gentlemen, this is the Legend Group, KT Rolster trying to keep themselves in playoff contention. Let's get into the Rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 3. As Gen.G try to get themselves set up. This bottom lane going to be a difficult time for KT, as Jiwoo is going towards the Comet variant of this Varus. I wonder whether he's going to do the weird, I'm still going to build a static Shiv that Diablo does every time. I don't like it, but Diablo did do it twice. And so I'm wondering whether it's a thing. Is it a thing, Daniel?
I think it should be a thing.
Well, we'll keep an eye out.
The poke Varus, having that being ahead of the curve is so important. If you're going to go more attack speed-based Varus, then Comet not really helping you out compared to Lethal Tempo.
Yeah. He did try it with Lethal Tempo the first time and then did it with Comet the second time and lost both games pretty cataclysmically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a lesson.
Yeah, it wasn't great. The lesson for me is cataclysmically is really fun to say. Effort, not having very much fun himself though, down to about 300, still just chugging through that potion. And I think that there will be a fair bit of control here for Gen.G in this bottom lane. The Caitlyn Lux is something that we've been treated to many times. Largely, it's from players like Gumayusi and Keria, but now Pays and Keria have been doing a heck of a lot of it as well. See how Duro is going to be able to navigate this Lux lane that can be kind of difficult, right? Like, you need to be able to hit those Qs.
I think the real difficulty in this matchup is the Bard's hitbox is massive, so it's not too hard to hit with your skills. But if you're playing the lane like you want to be, you look at the position in the lane right now, you're into a Bard Pantheon. You play your lane like this, you are liable to get ganked. So it's not just playing around the 2v2, but playing around the jungle as well will be really important in this matchup.
Yep, not to mention having vision, right? Knowing when you're actually allowed to play up and aggressively, which is part and parcel with how this lane works, right? I think if you're not playing aggressively because you are respecting Cuzz, then you're not actually able to get the value that you're looking for with this combination. So I think Gen.G, a lot of onus on them to retain control of the jungle and the river to make sure that Ruler and Duro can play like this and get that extra advantage. Jiwoo, with that teleport, will be able to make his way back to this lane immediately. And Ruler's sitting at 5-1 right now on this Caitlyn, but it's been a lot of Caitlyn Bard for Gen.G and Caitlyn other things, and hasn't been the Caitlyn Lux just yet.
Yeah, Caitlyn Bard was doing very well, but the Lux pairing, not just for Gen.G, but in general, was forming a bit worse last time I checked. In fact, Lux right now 0-3 in the LCK in round 3 and 4. So, hurting the Caitlyn win rate a little bit. We'll see if Gen.G are able to turn that around.
Yep, Chovy taking a lot of damage here in this mid lane as BDD on real good form today. I have to say, Syndra looking absolutely brilliant in game number 2. Also didn't look too bad in game number 1 either, even though he was playing the Twisted Fate. The composition, I think, was largely at fault there. But being able to find some pretty good moments here in this lane. Obviously, the Galio not going to have the most power in the early stages of the lane, but it's Chovy's Galio. He is very, very good at this champion and often does stay within touching distance of the CS. BDD this time, though, is ahead by about a wave as they both go for their resets.
Yep, important just to keep that momentum, keep ahead of your opponent. Galio obviously gets to the point where you just can't really push him out of the lane, especially as an Ahri. So take that window while you can. Neither jungler finding hits.
Bit of a binding. Yeah, Peacemaker is going to connect onto Jiwoo as well, but Effort actually soaks a bit of the damage, does save Jiwoo from a bit there, which is kind of cute. I did have a request online.
Yeah.
Someone was asking whether or not there's an update on the tiramisu.
I'm working on it.
Tried any recently?
I'm now in dessert debt. I owe a lot of people tiramisu, so...
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that.
You know that saying, like, is it overpromise, undercommit? What's the saying? You know there's a saying.
I don't know that saying.
There's something like that. No, I think it's underpromise, overdeliver.
Yeah.
I did the opposite.
Right. Well, that's giving it's a little bit of a giveaway now.
Yeah.
Perhaps people will not be getting their tiramisu.
I am working on it.
I used to live more towards the center of Seoul, and there was an actual tiramisu restaurant. Like
not
it was
just
like
Italian,
a cafe.
like specifically.
It was specifically tiramisu.
Wow.
And they had different variations of tiramisu.
Oh, that's
which is weird because I kind of thought that tiramisu was just a thing on its own, and like that's
yeah.
what it is.
I would have thought like if you go in variations, there's like cheesecake has a lot of variations.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have jumped to, but maybe that's what makes it so unique.
Exactly. Maybe cheesecake started off with only cheesecake, and then the variations came in because places like the Cheesecake Shop existed. I don't know whether that exists outside of Australia or whether it even still exists there, but that was a thing that we had.
Yeah.
But, anyway, that's neither here nor there. Just wanted to get that update on the tiramisu situation, and as it turns out, no one's getting their tiramisu. Sorry.
I didn't say no one is getting that. I just said it's not yet.
Wow, there's Oreo tiramisu and strawberry milk tiramisu? That exists? Is that just a Korean thing? I'm getting word. This is like, we're collaborating. This is just a Korean thing. Wow. honestly, genius. You know, sometimes you come to Korea for the K-pop and for the eSports. I think I'd recommend coming here for the tiramisu.
Strawberry milk tiramisu sounds...
Matcha tiramisu. Crazy. Kiin, not having a great time. Perfect, getting taken down to about half health, but otherwise the Jack's having a good time. That sidestep from Jiwoo, gorgeous. Does take a lot of damage from the Lucent Singularity, but doesn't get hit by the Peacemaker. And now the Pantheon makes his way in. Multiple flashes go down, and the arrow is actually going to connect here. Good combo comes out from Duro as Effort takes some damage, but still great pressure here from KT.
Double flash burn by Cuzz's ultimate. Great play there to punish. Ruler and Duro just further trying to step up their presence in the lane. Canyon's now here to cover, but without flashes, it already feels a little bit too late at this point.
Yeah, nothing invested from KT. So they can continue to play aggressively.
And now
don't have to worry too much about Canyon.
Jiwoo has his ultimate available. If he hits on Duro, that could just be a death sentence.
Hang on a second. I think they're trying to set up for some sort of dive.
Yeah, and Cuzz has actually crossed the other side of the map. He's not here, so not there to protect them. Ruler will get some damage on the tower. Jiwoo and Effort do back off and play defensive, but it's still more gold into Ruler's pockets as Cuzz goes for the grubs on the top side.
Yeah, so grubs for a Jax composition, though. That's going to feel pretty fantastic. As Counter-Strike getting perfect towards Kiin for a nice trade. For the Ambessa, feeling brilliant. Was obviously blind picked. This is something that Kiin has had to deal with for a very long time. But I don't necessarily see this as like a true shutout of a matchup or anything like that for the Jax. I think that Perfect is just playing much better here, games 2 and 3.
Yeah. Oh,
trading places as Kiin taking a lot of damage here. Does have to flash away, but still the flash to follow, and it's first blood. Another solo kill for Perfect.
Kiin disrespecting the damage in the all-in from the Jax. That last auto, the empowered auto, doing so much damage to finish him off. And Kiin beating his flash as well as going down there. Now Gen.G will continue putting pressure on the bot lane, and we now see Ruler taking a tower. Big CS lead, he's in a great spot. But the trade-off is you're going to lose a lot on the top side of the map.
Yeah.
Jiwoo and Effort were walking up there to potentially set up a play, but they actually... Oh.
There's an Impale. Effort is going to be held onto here, but he just gets healed up. Public Execution brings Kiin in, and that is going to be at least a kill on the Jax. Can Jiwoo escape? That's the question. As he gets the fadeaway magical journey. That was a bit cute. Kind of looked cool, but he's going to get him out of there. Perfect. Finishes off the Trinity Force in the Death Chamber. And Gen.G reclaim the gold lead pretty considerably after those turrets are traded.
So the all-in here. Kiin just kind of dashes too far, and then it's that W with the empowered auto stacked up on the ult that just does so much damage. Here, though, a little bit of an overstay. I think Effort could have just left. And instead, they stick around for quite some time. The respawn comes in, and there's no mana on Perfect. They could have just left after getting the tower, but Effort played it aggressively. Like, he still had heal, he still had Magical Journey. And it means that Gen.G, we saw that trade. Like, Gen.G focused the bot side, KT focused the top side. Because they end up trading a kill back in return, and Kiin gets some alone time with a wave, Gen.G have actually come out ahead in that passage of play. You can see the lead between top lane is only about 360.
Not too much at all, and Ruler has a massive advantage towards the bottom side, even though they are sitting at 0-0-0. So Collector is now done. Ruler just goes back and buys that Raw. Nothing else, doesn't have Berserkers, nothing like that. Just Collector is done. We'll see whether he can put it to use. Second item probably going to be that Infinity Edge, try and get as much value out of 2 items as this Caitlyn can. And then Rapid Fire Cannon or the Lord Doms, depending on which he feels like he needs next. Perfect has a long lane to work with here. Kiin will just be defending underneath his inner turret, but it does make the Jax situation somewhat uncomfortable.
Jax very good at killing wards, you know, with all that attack speed sacked up. Also good at killing towers. As you said before, 3 grubs with the Jax 2 means if Kiin is ever pressured out of lane and has to back off, a tower is just going to be in trouble now. Infernal in the Hex deck does make this potential souls a bit weaker, but regardless, Gen.G looking to contest this, see if he can get a second.
Yeah, KT moving over, and Canyon wants nothing to do with this. He's just going to back away. Look to get towards the jungle, because we'll be able to take this one down, and it will be a Chemtech ult. So I don't know what, like, based on the fact, like you mentioned, it was Hextech and Infernal. So the best of the Drakes were gone. Chemtech's kind of fun, though, here, as that's a heal. Going to be used by Duro to get out of the way of the Tempered Fate, so Effort pretty happy with that trade. Summon a spell for ulti.
I mean, there's a few bulky champions to get the benefit from it. Ambessa can be pretty crazy with it. Speaking of Ambessa, she does have that Eclipse completed, so I'm interested to see how this turns the matchup around.
Yeah, even the Ahri with the Essence and stuff like that is... Oh, Chains of Corruption just maxed range onto Duro. Oh no, and goes back and completes the McHale's.
Oh,
that is devastating, isn't it?
He was 1 day from retirement.
Yeah.
And they got him.
Oh no. Cuzz also, speaking of getting things, I believe just got that red buff. Effort going to take a version of it as well. The Meep slap's going to be pretty painful. As Chovy here towards his bottom side, Gen.G still with a gold advantage. I just feel like the tempo vibes are all KT right now.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're kind of controlling things more. Speaking of control...
Oh, public execution used. Very cute there by Kiin. Try and get himself out of the way as Effort's moving over as well. He does have flash in a few seconds time. Does manage to use it here, but still goes down. And Duro not able to offer too much back as Jiwoo and Rule are fighting one another. You can feel the frustration here by Gen.G, I feel, as KT just feels like their level of agency is so much higher in this game.
They're using the Bard Pantheon really well, moving around, trying to find these plays. Kiin did pretty much everything he could in that situation, but was just too far up, and oh, this is the Jax fantasy.
Oh yeah, thwack, thwack, thwack. Onto the turret. Does play it safe, though. Will back away before Chovy makes his way over. Let's have a look at this play once again.
Yeah, Duro had flash, but maybe just thought he was just out of the range. Gets cut out by it. The punish by BDD is immediate. And then here in the top lane, you can see the Bard and Pantheon moving in. The ult timing is great from Kiin. Remember, that's something that got changed recently, and yet he manages to do it perfectly. Dodges away from the stun. Flashes at a good time. It feels like he ticked the boxes, but it's just still not enough. That's how well KT set up that play.
Yeah, beautifully done. Just a little bit overextended there was Kiin, as he is going to find Effort. Will be able to take a magical journey, perhaps, as Chovy goes in towards Perfect. Cuzz is here as well. The taunt comes down, but Chovy is so far away from any sort of safety, he is just dead.
This Jax is going to be a problem. And by
he's already a problem!
Yeah, he's already a problem. And the thing is, into this composition of Gen.G, a lot of the DPS is coming from Ruler, and Jax is just going to ignore that. You know, they don't have this big AP threat in their team composition. It is just Chovy on the Galio, who better at bursting squishier targets. Now, Canyon is looking here for Perfect.
Now let's see whether Kiin can actually get the follow-up damage, as they do look to get on top of him. Public execution holds him in place. There's the impale, and the kill is delivered to Ruler. He says, "Thank you, sirs. I will take that." And he does.
Couldn't ask for someone better for that goal to be on. Ruler, long way away from those big Caitlyn power spikes that we look towards. So a nice shutdown there by Gen.G, but Perfect still very strong despite that. Dragon up in a minute 30, Herald alive, so objectives on the map to play for. But currently Gen.G probably just waiting for those ults to be available again.
Yeah. And this game looks incredibly even. I feel like KT, having all of their money stacked on this Jax, even though he's dead right now, is still a great thing for them. Playing through the side lanes with these three grubs, with this massive Jax, is going to be very powerful, and I think just a bit tough here for Gen.G to play through a Caitlyn that's pretty far ahead, right? When she's about to get into that trough that we always like to talk about, and a couple of items for Jiwoo is going to be actually a power spike in a composition like this with this lethality Varus. So KT, I think, looking at some really good times as this mid-game goes on. Then, as we get later and later into the game, that's when Gen.G will start to feel a little bit better when, you know, Ruler starts two-shotting people and things like that. The Counter-Strike cannot last forever.
That does help you feel better.
Yeah.
It's also interesting, this was talked about in the space, of course, but look at the mid-lane matchup. Chovy with the upgraded Merc Treads lost 5 magic resist, and BDD with the upgraded Sorks got 2 extra magic resist. It's a little thing, but definitely helps you feel a bit more powerful on those early spikes when you have 20 magic pen now, I believe it is, for the upgraded.
Yeah, just a bit more.
20 and then 8% magic pen as well. It's kind of crazy to have those just on a pair of boots.
Well, has completed the Blackfire Torch there as well. So looking frightening as effort. Tempered Fate is going to land onto Duro. Not exactly optimal. Traps are flying around the battlefield here as BDD Spirit rushes down. Good charm onto Canyon, but he does get the impale off. Tries to pull Cuzz out of the fight as Duro is taken down immediately. Canyon's dead as well. Ruler trying to kite as best he can, but they've just lost their front line completely. Kiin will be wiped out, and KT, they're just playing better.
Decimation there. Target selection was excellent, and the recourse just wasn't there. Perfect. Finding his way into that fight so well to threaten the backline. And now it's a more substantial lead for KT. Now it's going to be second dragon for KT as well. And Gen.G, we see this fight open up. And initially it's the alternate Duro, but they don't overcommit because they're playing Bouncer. And they just opt to start hitting Canyon initially with the charm, with the follow-up that Mikhail's has been. And then Perfect sees this angle, jumps in, forces the cleanse. Duro gets taken down with some help from effort. And Ruler's trying to do damage, but it's just not there.
Yeah.
Autos are going in, but just people aren't getting low enough. And KT doing a great job of disengaging when they get low and letting someone else step in.
That's a very happy BDD right there. Looking for his 501st game win. And wants to try and catch up to Kiin as well. Kiin sitting on 504 right now. So with a victory here, can actually start to close that gap. But early days there as far as that one is concerned. They have to get through this game first. As KT moved to a gold lead for the first time in this game. There were a couple of blips here and there at in the early stages, but otherwise Gen.G have had that gold advantage.
Yeah, I think there will come a point. So the two compositions in the earlier games, like game 1 and game 2, it kind of felt like the team who fell behind also just didn't have that much hope as the game went later. I think at least this one for Gen.G, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah.
But the matter is of getting to that end of the tunnel. And that's not a guaranteed thing. They are in a deficit, they are in a rough spot. Ruler needs items. But there is a situation where Jiwoo's damage is going to feel like it just doesn't cut through the front line as much. Ruler now has the IE. Third item will help block fourth item even better. And Perfect's a problem.
Yeah.
There isn't an easy solution for. But at least I think it gets to the point where when Ruler's doing enough damage, you can kind of outplay him, right? If you're not letting him jump on you, you can kite him away. If he does use stasis, like if he's bought a Seeker's Arm Guard, you can just place a trap under it. The problem is now he's trying to do damage to him, and Perfect just frankly does a lot more damage than Ruler does if they're in a 1v1, because Perfect has the added benefit of being tanky.
Well, there's a Tempered Fate. Cuzz is going to show up here as well, and Canyon, yeah, just running out of options. However, he does have a gargoyle to drop down on top. Cuzz just gets chain CC'd, headshotted, and Ruler is able to take him down. Look at this damage onto Effort and Jiwoo as well, as now BDD in trouble. Not quite able to find these. Oh, that was incredible from Duro. And then Perfect comes in and gets slammed into the wall. In the blink of an eye, Gen.G just take back all control.
They find the angle and overstep from KT, and importantly,
5 seconds until Baron.
Oh, the timing's so good. I think there was a bit of an anti-synergy there between Cuzz and Effort. And now Effort's trying to get some vision around here. It's Al, the bowling alley Baron. So, again, not a ton of damage, but they're trying to get some poke down. 2 seconds on Cuzz, but he has to make his way here. This is going to be long gone by then.
Yeah, there's no ulti available as well. He can't man drop his way in. That's a great charm. They do manage to take down Duro. This Baron will be secured by Gen.G as Chovy gets his Justice Punch blocked and will be the double kill here for BDD. So 2 dead. Baron picked up here for Gen.G. Rebel Baron power play not fantastic just yet. We'll see whether they can make any more of it. But this started off as a play by KT.
Yeah, I think the Tempered Fate just didn't help there. Just bought time and let the ult drop off from the Varus. They end up focusing down the Pantheon really aggressively, works so well. And then here, Duro's binding is so good with the predict on the BDD, and Perfect has to move in to defend him, to cover him. And that means they just turn onto him. He gets CC'd, locked down, and turned into mincemeat. Now, that play was great for Gen.G. Phenomenal for them. This passage of play, yes, they get the Baron, but they lose too. And this year, Baron's just been worth so much less gold. You lose a lot of time waiting for them to respawn. You don't have as many people with Baron when you're going for those pushes. I'm not sure how much value Gen.G will necessarily get from this Baron. You can see the Red Bull Baron power play is minus 20 gold right now.
Yeah, it's not looking fantastic just yet.
The initial play was great. The Baron secure. The thing with Baron now, because it's worth so much less gold, you kind of have to assess what do they get from it. Right now, they've gotten that top tier 1, great. What else can you pick up to really make that worth it?
Well, could be a dragon. Denying that from KT, I think, could be a good idea. 30 seconds time. Maybe using a Baron in order to get some control of these waves. The problem is, not everyone has it. So Chovy's in this bottom lane, but will not be able to empower these minions. Rula's still got it, able to use it to push out mid here. And the Ambessa is still there with hers. So Kiin should be able to get something done at the same time if he is left in a side lane. But it looks like Gen.G just going to set up the trap line, try and get themselves into a spot where they can make something happen. BDD finding that charm. Absolutely fantastic there onto Kiin, who has found 2 items himself. Eclipse Black Cleaver combo feels pretty nice for the Ambessa here. And Jiwoo is just taking pot shots, actually finding some pretty good angles here towards Gen.G to lay this poke down. Get themselves into a point where they're comfortable taking these fights.
Perfect's moving in on a flank angle. This is scary for Gen.G. They kind of need someone controlling that space, blocking the Jax. And Chovy's going to move around and hopefully be able to do that.
Yep, he's going to move on in. Kiin was wanting a flank angle as well, but KT are going to push him all the way away. Cuzz not going to be able to steal this Drake away, but Canyon may not be able to escape. There's the Impale, but it's only onto the Pantheon. Tempered Fate is going to connect onto one as Chovy looks for some justice here and then looks to escape. He will be able to do so. The Charm just barely not finding his backside. What the heck was that? Was his coattails got charmed. Unfortunately for BDD, just barely unable to get the gargoyle.
Dragon secured there by Gen.G. They only lose 1, which isn't too bad, but you can see top left of your screen, Red Bull Baron power play minus 666. Not the value you really wanted to get from that buff. And here, Canyon just isn't that tanky. KT ahead of the curve and proc his Protoplasm and just burst him straight after it. So he goes down without much recourse. I do think Chovy playing this well to be able to get out again with the ultimate, waits for the CC to be down. But the end result is you got the dragon, which is nice, but you're still far away from Soul, and a lot of gold was given over to KT after you took that initial Baron.
Yeah. The thing is, it's also bought time, and they kind of needed that. Ruler now has his rapid fire cannon complete, wanting to build towards some armor penetration now, I would assume, in the Lord Doms or something like that. Molder Reminder might be a good idea as well, considering BDD with a bit of extra healing, the fact that effort exists. And there's 2 Sundered Skies. I know they've been nerfed a little, but they are still kind of ridiculous. And so Jiwoo now does get his transformation on his Muramana. He's got 3 items himself, but those 3 items are a little bit different to what Ruler has put together. And he has a 1.4k gold advantage right now. But Daniel, I'm just looking at this top lane, and I feel like this, I feel like Perfect, he is the make or break right now. And I think the make is a little bit more scary than the break right now.
He's a problem, and right now Gen.G trying to defend that bottom mid where 4 members of KT were leaning in, but that just leaves top lane alone for Perfect. Someone has to respond to this. The tower's gone, but I don't think it feels comfortable for either solo laner to match up here.
No, no one can really stand toe-to-toe with this Jax. So Gen.G going to have to play around it, see whether they actually can. Ruler now with the Peacemakers will be able to deal with these waves very comfortably. Now looking for a little bit of a recall angle. Probably Last Whisper to be completed now. But we'll see what he does. Grab. Selling some stuff, and there it is. So understandably going for some armor pen. Should be towards that 4th item relatively soon. It's not a clock for KT though. That's the crazy thing about this game compared to the last 2. Is the fact that the Jax is also just going to be a problem all game long.
Yeah. I think it feels better for Gen.G to get to that point, but that doesn't mean it feels bad necessarily for KT. It just, it's relatively.
Ooh, Tempered Fate going to catch Ruler and the turret. Not sure what they can really do about it though. That's kind of my question. Yeah, it did look
a message.
Cool. And BDD goes in, finds the charm onto Canyon again, and he's taken down. Final spark onto Jiwoo, but he's able to ignore it. Ruler tagged by that Orb of Deception. It's a beautiful pick onto the jungler. There's 23 seconds on this Baron, and KT, they're the only ones with Smite.
Is this enough to set up for the Baron? I think it might be a bit risky, but if they find Kiin...
Oh, yeah, they do. They do as well. And BDD is able to lock that one down. Heroic entrance brings Chovy in, but I don't think he wants to be here. He's going to be the second one, and BDD's looking for 501 already.
KT playing so well at setting these traps, finding these angles, making Gen.G think that they're up to something, and they were, just not what you thought they were. They will now move over to the Baron. And yes, Canyon is alive, but it just does not matter. Baron will be secured. 5,000 gold lead before they've even killed the Purple Worm. And in dominant control right now.
I think Gen.G, they need an agent in the LCK. They need someone to just vote for KT in the predictions. They need to get someone to do it. Otherwise, they'll keep doing this.
Yeah, we see the engage coming in. Unfortunately, in this situation, it's only Canyon, but the follow-up, I love the trap that's used here. They kind of play into the fog of war, get the jump on Kiin, and Kiin actually uses the sweeper, so he thinks he's safe, but they're just outside of it. Unfortunately, when Galio comes in, there's just no way out for Chovy. So
he didn't have flash. BDD was telling us that a lot.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, speaking of BDD, got a lot of pages in his Death Note right now. 10 stacks on the Magi Soul Stealer, and a Baron now to use to push down these turrets. This is a much better Baron. They have all 5 of their players with it. And this inner turret, not long for the world. It's going to be the last inner turret available. Actually, no. Mid lane is still there, hanging on by a very slim margin. Actually, does have a decent health line, never mind. But it's only going to take like 3 autos for Perfect to go down.
Overgrowth stacked up. It's not in a good spot.
Ruler is wandering in. And the Peacemaker not really going to be doing much of anything at all. Can't really walk up to this wave very comfortably with Cuzz and Jiwoo lurking. Canyon there to offer some support. So it looks like this base not going to be broken on this push or anything like that, but you can see it's only a matter of time, right? There's only one person trying to deal with Perfect, and they need more if they want to stop the Jax.
Such a problem as well. The fact he now has a Seekers worked on as Zhonya's means if you miscalculate at all, you're going to pay for it heavily.
And Ruler just taking incidental poke over and over again. Able to walk up towards this Siege minion, does manage to take it down with the combo. BDD, Spirit Rush back up and available once again. Effort moves in. Gen.G's defense hasn't been too bad just yet. Sitting on almost 7k. Lord Doms is now done, so 4 items complete for the Caitlyn.
It does kind of feel like they are just locked into defense mode though, and just don't really have any options in terms of initiating the fight.
Oh, nice little snare from Duro, but Ruler unable to actually walk up, do too much. As Canyon might even be able to get a red buff. That is going to be good news here for Gen.G.
I'll take the little wins.
Yeah. I feel like they haven't been able to get their own red buff for quite some time, so it certainly does feel good. Canyon just going to walk on up and throw some rocks over at BDD. That charm not going to connect this time around. Knight's Vow is done, an extremely supportive Skarner this time. Soul Point here for KT. I'll just grab that with the dregs of the Baron. 5 seconds left. And 1.4. The Rebel Baron power play is not gigantic, so Gen.G have played some decent defense, but it does really feel like after that last fight, this game is KT's to lose.
I would say so. I think a big misstep is what it really take for Gen.G to find their way back into this one. Again, they don't need a rush. They don't need to do anything crazy and try and force plays. Just find the angle, have the correct setup, ideally bait Gen.G into the trap, and then...
Wait a second, there's the knock-up from the brush. That was very cute. Perfect in a lot of trouble. And it is going to be Kiin that looks to pick up the kill to try and pull him back into the game. And Chovy says, no, I will deliver justice, sir. And he does do so.
A good pick, good angle. Gen.G need more like that if they want to continue find themselves in a better spot in this game. For the time being, it slows down the pressure from KT, buys a bit of space for Gen.G to push outside the base and get some vision up as KT go for a reset.
Yeah, so KT just going to purchase some items. Perfect going to be up before any Barons or Dragons or anything like that.
This was sneaky. This was very sneaky. And you honestly can't blame Perfect for being a little shocked when you just get knocked up. It's like the Nunu thing. You know, when you know like a Nunu's in a game, and then one time you just walking next to a brush and like, why am I slowed? And then your health bar just vanishes.
Indeed. You're slowed, and then the jump scare is that you're dead.
This didn't even have the slow warning. You just got knocked up out of nowhere.
Yeah. A little bit frustrating here for Perfect. Probably not going to make that mistake again. And is now back up and available. So the teleport can get him anywhere he wants to go. And so that control that Gen.G just had for a brief window should be dissipating. They did pull the gold back by about 1,000 as well. And 5K at 31.5 minutes. Not a massive advantage. I think there's still a chance for Gen.G in this one. Still does feel like KT should be able to get themselves towards this Baron pit and try and set up these picks once again. But I think they do now actually need one of these skirmishes to go their way as well. I think otherwise, if Perfect had have been able to retain that level of pressure, they could have continued to suffocate Gen.G, stop any vision from going down. But now, with that pick, Gen.G have been able to get some wards onto the map and being able to take control of some territory, which is very valuable.
Oh, that's pretty high value. Blocking both ults with the Aegis there.
Yeah.
Cuzz. Yeah, I will say, now at the point where Perfect, it's like if you look at the items between Perfect and Kiin, Kiin still doesn't have like his core completed. Perfect has the Zhonya's and has a QSS as a bonus. It just makes it so hard to deal with him right now.
Well, piercing arrow, not going to be piercing much there.
Oh, flank coming in from BDD.
Yeah, let's see whether he finds it. There's a Spirit Rush. The flash out from Duro, though. Orbit Deception will be avoided. And BDD is already very, very low. Fantastic heroic entrance, but it's the Impale that does most of the work. And now it's Ruler taking matters into his own hands. Perfect slammed into the wall by this Skarner. And this time, Canyon wasn't stopped. And so he's able to take control. It's an ult out for Cuzz. And KT, they were so far ahead. They were so close. And Gen.G may have just slammed the door in their face.
You know how far ahead they were? I think you can measure it with the ruler.
Oh, no.
Just decimates them in the fight. And you could see KT hunting down the Gen.G AD carry and unable to catch him out. The damage coming out at this point in the game is absurd. Look at BDD goes in on this angle. And how quickly his health vanishes. The Tempered Fake catches him, and then here, Ruler dashes away, cleanses, but he knows it's his Galio ult. He can just stand here, get the autos down, but then flashes the damage from BDD.
BDD, basically.
Yeah, and then Perfect. As much as the Jax is strong, when you're trapped in those triple melee full of CC, it just does not go well.
And I think that was an example of Gen.G hitting that late game mark that we were warning KT about, right? The QSS is now done here for Ruler. But that's on top of those 4 items that he'd already completed. This guy is just terrifying. And with QSS, Cleanse, and Mikhail's, there's just not enough to stop this guy from shooting you.
Yeah, they need to kill him. He has no sums right now, which is good. And it is soul for KT if they can secure this dragon, which you know Perfect will very much appreciate, but Ruler is the main target. Good poke there.
That's something.
He does have a Vamp Scepter though, so it's not quite Bloodthirst if he can heal up.
That's a fair bit of health that comes back each auto here as well, as we can see. So just needed a minion wave, and he is looking pretty healthy now. Some denial of this soul might be coming through as Ace
big
BDD. That is not the one you want taking that damage if you are KT.
They can just start the dragon and Ruler can heal up off it. With BDD that low, things feel uncomfortable for KT. Dragon going to be secured here.
Yeah, there's no way that KT can actually get in on this one. And so 6 elemental dragons, 7 in this game if we make it another 5 minutes. And the Rebel Baron power play sitting at 1.8 this time around. Gen.G feeling so much better about it. And even Chovy is starting to get like pretty large on this Galio. Does have the Rift Maker now done. Looking for a Zhonya's most likely, and the next item, but could just go towards a Death Cap.
That's the thing, is that Chovy doesn't have a ton of DPS, but with this build, which doesn't look like the most intimidating build, especially when you compare it to like BDD with the Rabadons, but he does do a lot of damage, and the amp from the Mandate makes a big difference when Ruler's trying to cut through some of these tankier targets. Now, looking for the Siege, double cannon just hammering away. Jiwoo doing his best to wave clear. Perfect nearly has TP. BDD has his. You can see those wards behind. There's a control ward in that sort of line brush just below mid lane. If they push any further, you could see an angle where KT just pull the trigger and go for the flank. Ruler's Cleanse isn't quite up yet.
Speaking of the trigger being pulled though, now Cuzz is just stuck in all of this CC. Perfect moves up the Impale. It comes on through. Tempered Fate is there, but the public execution, it just goes wide. Kiin now trying to dash away, has a GA for some safety, but Canyon's starting to get way too tanky. Cuzz is 1v1ing Chovy. He's going to lose that fight against his ex-teammate. And Gen.G are now looking to try and pick up these stragglers. Oh no, KT, another lost fight. That gold lead dwindling. It'll go alongside this turret as the plates and the turret itself are taken down. I just think that KT are running out of time.
And it was just beautiful peel here because a lot connects for KT. First off, it's the Bartle that comes in. Ruler definitely in trouble. We see the ult from Kiin just to space them away. The stun hits Ruler, but he gets over the wall, kites to the back of it, and Perfect can't chase through the Skarner. We do see BDD gets the GA out of Kiin, but he's able to dodge the follow-up afterwards. And at the end of that, considering Ruler got hit by 2 critical abilities and didn't die, didn't have to burn anything, in fact, feels pretty good for Gen.G.
And look at this. Like, Canyon with a Knight's Vow and now a Locket of the Iron Solari.
He gets it.
This support Skarner is really doing work. And yeah,
he knows his role. And you know, game 1 and game 2, there was a timer on the games. And we said this one, it's less clear, but Ruler is really starting to show you that clock and make the case.
Oh yeah, has a Bloodthirster now completed.
I mean, that just completely negates so much of Jiwoo's poke. Jiwoo wants to land poke on the squishier targets because poke on a Kiin, Canyon, and Chovy just doesn't hit that hard. And now it's like, well, you poke Ruler, he autos a wave twice, he's back to full HP and has a shield on top.
Yep, or like you try and go in to try and get a catch, and you can't do enough to like out DPS his lifesteal if he's able to hit you during the battle. Mikhail's
cleanse and QSS.
Yeah, he will be shooting.
Yeah, he will be shooting and he will do so much damage. It's only really Perfect that can kind of like have windows where with your Counter-Strike and your GA, and then when you come out of, sorry, not GA, Zhonya's. Yep. When you come out of Zhonya's, you have Counter-Strike again. Those are the things that Perfect can play around, but Zhonya's not the best item into Caitlyn because the trap will just be at your feet when you come out again. Does make it difficult. Now, Dragon in a minute 30, you can see KT with fishing for a play on the bot side, but Kiin smells it out and backs away.
Yeah. I also think that if Gen.G managed to get a Chemtech Soul, Bloodthirst are pretty good as far as a Chemtech Soul item is concerned, which is kind of fun. Death's Dance, speaking of those kinds of items, is going to be picked up here for Kiin, who hit level 20 before Perfect, which is kind of mind-blowing given how powerful the Jax was. The Ambessa holding on to relevance here in this game. As Baron up in 10 seconds time, 1 minute on the Drake as well.
Yeah, the Luxalt not doing too much damage. TP coming in mid.
All right, Perfect. Looking to try and take down some of these minions here before Kiin makes his way over. Big ol' shield to be picked up by the Ambessa. And they are now on this Baron. If KT can stall this, you can make it a Baron for soul trade or something like that. But they are just going to start hitting this immediately. The trap line is set up. Loosen Singularity to try and block Jiwoo is now Kiin trying to get on in there. He dashes away though. Cuzz finds the stun. Tempered Fate lands onto both Canyon and the Baron. And Kiin just trying to escape. Public Execution gets Kiin in. He delivers Chovy and gets the double knockups. That is multiple people going golden. Perfect tries to get out of there, but the Caitlyn says no. Cuzz gonna get taken out. The DPS from this guy is massive. They do manage to take down the Galio, but everybody else is dead. It's only BDD and Effort left alive. And with Ruler here, he will be able to kill all of KT's stuff and take this series.
Not enough to stop him now. Beautiful setup by Kiin and Chovy to make that play. And Ruler is there just to cut them down. A game where KT had the control, had the advantage. Gen.G shut them down and finished the series 2-1. I don't think BDD can do enough to stop this.
We'll see whether he can do some heroics, and the answer is no! Caught by the light binding from Duro, and now Effort takes a magical journey to a 1-2 defeat against Gen.G. They were so incredibly close, but unfortunately not close enough, and Gen.G will shut the door again.
A hard-fought Game 3 there, and a hard-fought series in general. You know, credit to KT for making it so close when this is the #1 team of the Legend Group against the #5 team.